The night had draped itself over the winding roads like a thick, suffocating blanket. Jake squinted through the windshield of his old sedan, the headlights struggling to penetrate the darkness ahead. He had always been cautious about driving at night, but tonight was different. His girlfriend Sarah had called him from a remote cabin where she was staying with friends, her voice shaky as she pleaded for him to come get her. Jake's grip tightened on the steering wheel as he navigated the desolate road. The trees loomed like spectral sentinels, their branches clawing at the sky in a macabre dance. Thoughts of Sarah's distress spurred him forward, despite the unease gnawing at his gut. As he rounded a bend, his headlights caught something, a figure standing by the roadside. Jake's heart lurched. A hitchhiker? At this hour? He slowed down, his mind racing through all the horror stories he'd heard about lone travelers in deserted roads. The figure was cloaked in darkness, almost blending into the night itself. Against his better judgment, Jake stopped the car a few feet away. The figure didn't move, its presence unsettlingly still. He rolled down the window cautiously. "Hey, do you need a ride?" Jake called out, his voice trembling slightly. Silence greeted him for a moment, then a raspy voice pierced the air. "You shouldn't be here." Jake's blood ran cold. The voice carried an otherworldly chill, sending shivers down his spine. He glanced around nervously, suddenly aware of how isolated they were. "I'm just trying to get to my girlfriend's cabin," he stammered, his breath visible in the cold night air. The figure stepped closer, revealing a face hidden beneath a hood. Its eyes gleamed unnaturally in the dim light, reflecting an eerie green hue. "They're waiting for you," it whispered, its voice carrying an eerie echo that seemed to reverberate inside Jake's head. Fear surged through him like a tidal wave. Without another word, he slammed his foot on the gas pedal and sped away, the figure vanishing into the shadows behind him. Jake's heart hammered in his chest as he tried to shake off the encounter, the road ahead stretching endlessly into the darkness. Minutes turned into hours as Jake pressed onward, the night deepening around him. His mind replayed the strange encounter over and over, the words, "They're waiting for you," echoing like a haunting refrain. He had to reach Sarah, had to get to safety. Just as he began to believe he had imagined the whole thing, the headlights flickered once, twice, then died completely. Panic surged anew as Jake wrestled with the steering wheel, the car veering dangerously close to the edge of the road. He cursed as he coasted to a stop, the engine sputtering weakly before falling silent. Heart racing, Jake fumbled for his phone, cursing the lack of signal. He was stranded, alone in the darkness, with whatever malevolent force had warned him away. The forest seemed to press closer, the trees whispering secrets that sent a chill down his spine. Then he heard it, a faint rustling from the woods beside him. Jake's breath caught in his throat as he strained to see through the inky blackness. Shadows moved among the trees, shapeless forms that seemed to pulse with a sinister energy. He was not alone. Desperation gave way to resolve as Jake scrambled out of the car. He had to find help, had to get away from this cursed place. Clutching his phone like a lifeline, he plunged into the woods, the darkness swallowing him whole. Branches clawed at his clothes, the forest floor uneven beneath his feet. Every rustle, every snap of a twig sent his heart racing anew. He stumbled forward, guided by sheer determination and the distant hope of reaching civilization. Suddenly, a faint glow appeared through the trees ahead. Jake's pulse quickened as he stumbled into a clearing, his eyes widening at the sight before him. Sarah's cabin stood bathed in moonlight, a beacon of safety amidst the encroaching darkness. Relief flooded through him as he rushed forward, pounding on the door. It swung open moments later, Sarah's tear-streaked face greeting him with a mix of disbelief and joy. "Jake, oh, thank God you're here," she whispered, pulling him into a tight embrace. Jake held her close, his own fear momentarily forgotten in the warmth of her presence. "We need to leave," he said urgently, glancing back at the forest looming ominously behind them. Sarah nodded, her eyes wide with understanding. Together they packed hastily, throwing belongings into bags as they prepared to flee. But just as they were about to leave, a sound echoed through the cabin, a soft, haunting whisper that froze them both in place. "They're coming." The air turned cold as dread settled over them like a shroud. Jake and Sarah exchanged a terrified glance, their hearts pounding in unison. The whispers grew louder, surrounding them from all sides. With trembling hands, Jake reached for Sarah's hand, their finger